No more Mr. Nice Guy is what Trump is saying. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions here with a super quick update. Just wanted to provide you guys with an update. For those that tuned on into my free live trading session today, appreciate you guys tuning on in. I still have my open short position on NVIDIA. I'm still waiting for NASDAQ to curl on over. As NASDAQ sells off, and if it does produce another leg down, which it doesn't have to, but it looks like it's in its early stages of doing, and if it does end up selling off, then NVIDIA will most likely sell off with it, making me more money on this open short position. I plan to cover right around, based off of previous lows, right around 135 to 135.50. So we'll see if we end up getting it. But what do I mean by Mr. Nice Guy? A lot of you guys know that, again, the markets began to recover as the US signed a deal with China. I'm sorry, not signed a deal, came to an agreement and paused tariffs for 90 days, right? This is what Trump just released a few minutes ago, or this was about an hour ago. 2 weeks ago, China was in grave economic danger. The very high tariffs I set made it virtually impossible for China to trade into the United States marketplace, which is by far number one in the world. We went, in effect, cold turkey with China, and it was devastating for them. Many factories closed, and there was, to put it mildly, civil unrest. I saw what was happening and didn't like it for them. Not for us. I made a fast deal with China in order to save them from what I thought was going to be a very bad situation, and I didn't want to see it happen. Because of this deal, everything quickly stabilized and China got back to business as usual. Everybody was happy. That was the good news. The bad news is that, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with the US. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy. So I want to remind you, if markets went up based off of the agreement, you guys remember when they met in Switzerland and it was Treasury Secretary Bessent that met with pretty much an executive of the Chinese government, and they came to this agreement, right? And this happened in Geneva, if I'm not mistaken. There was an agreement that was not signed, but it was agreed upon. This is where the 90-day pause happened. Markets went up because of this. Does this look like progress is being made? Remember, we talked about this yesterday. We talked about this weeks before when they talked about this China trade deal. Everyone was celebrating. Everyone was excited because of the 90-day pause. The U.S. has not been able to sign a deal with any country. And you really think that we're going to be able to sign one with the most powerful country aside from the US, China being them? This doesn't surprise me at all. This doesn't, I don't think, surprise a lot of people that nothing was actually signed or agreed upon, or in Trump's eyes, violated the agreement. So again, what does this mean for the market? Well, again, in my opinion, it's not rocket science. It's very simple. If markets went up when an agreement and a 90-day pause happened, if this agreement has now been violated and the tariffs come back into effect, what do you think is going to happen with the market? I want to remind you where the market's at. This is not to instill fear. This is just to be aware of the different variables that might present themselves. If we went up based off of not agreements being signed, but pauses, and these pauses or agreements are now violated, and if Trump goes back and starts swinging that tariff hammer around, what do you think is going to happen? I don't think it's really tough to say that markets can begin to retrace, right? Something just to look out for, especially as markets are incredibly overbought based off of previous highs with a lot of pullback potential. And guess what? The uncertainty we have now is very similar to the uncertainty we had in the past before. All that needs to happen is tariffs need to go back into effect, and we'll see how the markets react. The other thing that I quickly want to talk about is, again, like we talked about yesterday, is today Trump is supposed to have a press conference with Elon Musk, as it's going to be his final official day at the White House. The other thing that also is kind of good news is the PCE report, which is the Fed's preferred inflation measure, fell below market's expectation of 2.2% and came in at 2.1%. The really crazy thing about this is that as soon as this was released, markets actually sold off. Again, it is still very unlikely that the Federal Reserve is expected to cut interest rates. Remember, bond yields are going up. The U.S. government needs bond yields to go down so they could refinance their debt at lower rates. If they are forced to refinance at these higher rates, it's going to make it very expensive for the United States to borrow money. And that means that interest payments are only going to get more expensive. Right now, the US pays about $1 trillion a year in interest payments alone based off of the debt that it's borrowing. Remember, we're almost $37 trillion in debt. So if you think that everything that's happening right now in our economy is thriving, I wish you the best of luck. This isn't to instill fear in you. This is just to make you aware of the concerns that the market should have as of right now. Obviously, markets are holding. Markets can be irrational more than we can stay solvent. That's definitely something to pay attention to, but don't act surprised if markets do begin to fall. That's the whole point of this video. I appreciate you guys' time. Again, I'll make sure that I keep you guys up to date with my NVIDIA short. We're getting a little bit closer to where it is, where I want to take profits. I'll probably be up around $1,500 to about $2,000 and then call it a day. I'm headed off to San Diego. I'm going to be partaking in that rock and roll marathon this weekend. So for some of you that are going to be running it, I hope to see you guys out there. Hope that earned a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. And like I've said before, if you ever want to watch me trade live, I go live every single morning right at market open. And it's the second link in the description down below. We have a huge sale that's going on. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. And again, second link in the description down below. And I'll see you on Monday for our live session. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.